So the two different books have two different translations. In the Cleary, the title of this koan is Kyozan Plants His Hoe. So in the WiC, which is Maizubi Roshi's translation, it's translated as Mattock, M-A-T-T-O-C-K. So I had to look up what a mattock was.
It's some kind of a tool.
Yeah, it has two different ends on it, so it's can be used both as an axe and as a hoe. So I guess it works as a hoe, but it's not its only purpose. So I printed out, and there are different types of mattocks. So I print out pictures, and I thought, learning since I was never a farmer, I had no idea what it was. So case 15, the Book of Equanimity. This case is it only is in this book. Kyozan Plants His Mattock. Preface to the assembly. To know before a word is spoken is called the silent utterance. To not be bright, but reveal itself is called the dark activity. Place the palms together in front of the three gates, and in both hallways they promenade. Such empathy there is. Dance in the middle garden, and at the back gate a head is moved. How about that? Main case. Attention. Isan asked Kyozan, "Where did you come from?" Kyozan replied, "I came from the fields." Isan asked, "How many were in the fields?" Kyozan stuck his mattock in the ground and stood with his hands folded on his chest. Isan said, "In the southern mountains, lots of people reap thatch." Kyozan pulled up the mattock and left. The appreciatory verse. The old awkward one with deep feeling considers his descendants, but now he is spurred on to uphold his household. Keep in mind the part about the southern mountains, with it inlaid in bone, engraved on the skin. Let's show our gratitude together. All right. This is another one of these deceptively simple koans. It sounds weird, like all the koans sound. But it's that same trick question that we've heard before. Where did you come from? So, if someone on the, in a casual conversation is asking you that question, you know how to answer that question. The Zen master asks you that question, one should tremble in fear. It's like, oh God, I'm being tested at this point. How do I answer? So Kyozan responds with where he just come from. So which should have been obvious. He was holding a mattock in his hand. Where else would he have been? Unless he was a serial killer or something. Where else would he have been with this particular tool? So clearly, Isan knew where he had been, and Kyozan was like, "Okay, what's up, Teach? Why are you asking me this question?" So he's probably already on high alert, going, "This is dharma combat. How am I going to respond?" These two people, Isan and Kyozan, were the founders of the Igyo school. The Igyo school has died out; it no longer exists. But it was a predecessor of the. There were 5 schools of Zen in China. This is still Tang Dynasty, China. The Igyo school was known. There was a very popular disagreement among Zen teachers. Some Zen practitioners believe that enlightenment happened suddenly. You have this great big flash of enlightenment, and it's what it stuck with you for the rest of your life. And the other school of Zen thought that you gained enlightenment gradually. So the Ikkyo school combined both of those, saying, yes, you may have the realization suddenly, but you have to cultivate it gradually over time in order to have it work in everyday life. You have to work on it. You still have to practice. Yes, you may think that it came on suddenly, but so it happened suddenly. Then what? What are you going to do with that? So the Ikkyo school focused on that the everyday application of that. So in this koan, that is what Isan is testing Kyozan on, is where are you right now? What do you realize right now in this moment? And so Kyozan responds appropriately. He stuck his mattock to the ground, right here, right now. This is where I am. But Isan doesn't let him get away with just that sudden realization. So you're here, right now. What next? Why are you? So what? So Isan presses him further. How many people? How many were with you in the fields? So, what about the rest of the world? What about the rest of the universe? How are you going to take care of them? What is that? So you were in the fields. What did you do? So, and Kyozan doesn't quite get that yet. He's got the enlightenment part. He's got this. The only place I am is right here, right now, but he hasn't got the what next yet. So Isan gives him a hint. In the southern mountain, lots of people reap thatch. So thatch it's a pretty menial job. It's what they made roofs out of, and probably still do in some places. Very dense, reedy straw that they put together, and because it's pretty water resistant, works well for roofs. But difficult to work on. So this is hard work that a lot of people do. But that's who we have to take care of. It is just the common, everyday, ordinary activities that are going on around you. And that's the only reason for being present. The only reason for your enlightenment is to save all sentient beings. It's not about this sudden enlightenment that you have and you're suddenly 2 inches off the ground with backlighting. What are you going to do with all that realization? So in this is the balance of the absolute and the relative that's going on here. So he stick his mattocks in the ground. That's the absolute. What you do with that mattocks in the ground, that's the relative. And they both arise simultaneously and always together. You don't have one without the other. And ignoring one for the other is really how we get into trouble. Getting stuck in the absolute or stuck in the relative without taking care of both sides of that equation is Zen sickness. Because that's what is being referred to. Where is it? I think it's in this other. If indeed Isan had allowed Kyozan to just get away with being stuck in the absolute, there's an additional verse that goes with this. It isn't in this book, but it's in this other book. Something to the effect of he would have gone on. Now I can't find it. Didn't underline it. But getting stuck on one side or the other is that Zen sickness that we've talked about. So there's a reference to it in the Seneca, but I failed to underline it when I was reading it. So it's both sides of that equation that we naturally always exist in, but we prefer one over the other. We prefer, yes, that usually people like this idea of being enlightened, and carrying on with that enlightenment, expressing themselves from only that enlightened place, without any concern for what the impact of that is. Because no matter what you do, there is an impact. Karma is always attached. While the other side, where people are, stuck in the relative, whereas they're not really trying to better themselves or really take care of this oneness that is the foundation of reality, but they're stuck in this constant dualistic relationship with everything. Everything is always good and bad, night and day, and the constant othering that goes on in the relative sense. So both sides by themselves are incomplete. Together, they can work well, but it does require work and constantly checking of oneself, which is why the integration of that whole realization takes time and takes the work of continuous sitting, continuing to deconstruct the ideas that we have of the world, because they will continue to come up even after have had that enlightenment experience. The first thing you do after that enlightenment experience is turn that into an idea and to a story. And then it's immediately delusional, but we hang on to it, or we have that sudden epiphany while we're sitting, and then we go back to sitting trying to get back to the feeling that happens after that epiphany. It's like, oh, is that great place, or that letting go that happened, that dropping away of body and mind. That felt good. So let's do that again. So let's turn that into an addiction, which we're very good at doing. But the other half of dropped away body and mind is dropping off, letting that go, deconstructing that, and then just taking care of reality just as it is. Because that is what enlightenment is. Enlightenment is coming to understand that this whole enlightenment experience is really just the blinders being removed. It's this dropping away of any idea that you have of reality that you have, and really encountering it for the first time. But reality doesn't stay there. It continues. You flow on, it flows on. So that work continues on. I was listening to Chase Hughes. He now does YouTubers, but I guess he used to work for one of the governmental secret agencies, CIA, MI6. I don't know what he was for. No, he's American, so MI6 is British. But his specialty was psyops. So this whole thing of people trying to convince you of what reality is, and that whole brainwashing type. Brainwashing is kind of the extreme psyop. But there are lesser forms of it, trying to convince people. We're hearing it all the time. He basically says religion is the biggest psyop, because they're trying to convince you that reality is in a particular way. And interestingly enough, he says that coming to the realization of what reality really is boring and disappointing. and I have to agree with him. It's like, this is not what I expected. I was expecting, violins and, orchestral music to swell, and, there to be some kind of fanfare. But no, there's just raw reality without any decoration or a marching band to announce it. It just shows up just as it is every minute of every day. And it's very plain, boring way. And I hear that complaint. From people who come in to talk about their practice, said, this is boring. Yeah. It is. But boredom is completely underrated. So see what's there. What's in this boredom, and why are you bored? Because reality is just reality, just as is. You're calling it boring, which is the story about it. So why are you calling it boring? So usually it's because they have some other expectation of reality, that it should be some other way. It's supposed to entertain me. It's I don't know what the latest games are that the kids are, what the video games that they're playing these days. It's called what?
Clash WaYu. Clash Royale. Clash WaYu.
Right. Is that an English word?
It's something. All my teenagers are playing it.
Oh,
I tried to. It's a strategy game where you try to win trophies.
Can they create a game where they have to read? I keep hearing this complaint that Gen Alpha Gen Alpha can't read. I don't know if there's any truth to that.
No, they can read. They just, I don't know if they want to read.
They're used to reading.
But I find a lot of adults that don't want to read either.
That's true.
Yeah, so just.
Well, because you actually have to sit down and pay attention for a while, and
It's boring.
It's boring. It's boring to actually, cultivate an attention span that's longer than milliseconds that it takes for the screen to entertain you, and even more so to just be in reality just as it is for any length of time. And no wonder, billions and billions of dollars is being made by people who create stuff to distract us, and they've got it down. I had to uninstall TikTok. That was instantly. I was like, I could just feel my soul being sucked out of my body as that app was it just kept going. I'm like, okay, no. This cannot continue.
Yeah, they call it, in education I would call it brain rot.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
It really does. No, I've been the same thing with Instagram and YouTube Shorts. Before I know it, 3 hours have gone by.
Yes.
Have you heard of Italian brain rot?
No.
Italian.
Italian brain rot. Apparently it's this online thing where it's like animated characters talking, doing like stuff. And apparently this is the big thing with kids.
In Italy?
Italian brain rot.
Why is it Italian?
It's like these animals and characters, and they're kind of speaking called Italian, like pseudo-Italian, like Italian sounding words or something.
Oh, really?
It's very odd. My wife showed it to me a little while ago. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
This is what they want. Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing a while ago was Skibbity. And
Oh,
it's a Skibbity toilet. It's a talking toilet.
Yes.
I don't understand it.
Skibbity means
It's
clothes.
like some kind of a trick.
That's one thing.
That's it's a new Gen Alpha word for.
Some are smoking weed.
Yeah, I've walked by a couple of kids talking, and I didn't understand a word they were saying. I was,
No, it's really
I
us.
kept walking. I just thought, okay, no.
No, they have a whole lingo that even it's called Gen Z.
Yeah.
It's really, from a linguistic standpoint, it's very fascinating.
Yeah,
But it's more than slang, it's almost a dialect. It's really interesting.
yeah, yeah. Well, the bottom line is that nobody wants to sit and be in reality. That's just it's an unusual activity to actually engage in. And yeah, boring as hell. But it's what reality is, and that's what's missing in the whole formula, is not only being present in reality just as it is, but taking care of reality just as it is. We end up, I think and this is my guess about all these distractions, when we are only paying attention to distractions, that's the only thing we're taking care of. And that's the addiction. And so we get caught up in, how do I perpetuate, maintain, continue being distracted in this way, and bring everybody else into my distraction so that we can be in this together. And we can make up a whole language.
This isn't new. I'm saying there were a lot
No.
of distractions when I was younger, and I'm sure in my parents' generation too. I think it's just part of being human.
And it is part of being human, because life has always been hard. I mean, it certainly, and I think that part of what Isan is reminding Kyozan of is his privilege. Kyozan has the privilege of being in a monastery and not having to reap thatch. He's not out there doing the hard work of, making people's roofs. So that's his reminder. In the southern mountains, lots of people reap thatch. Lots of people are, in Los Angeles, lots of people are homeless. The reality of what's going on around us is, what a lot of people want to be removed from. Whether you're a monk in a monastery doing what you think is the good work of Zazen, Isan is very quick to remind him that that's not normal. That's not what's going on in the world. That's not what people are having to deal with out there. And how do we take care of that? How do we take care of reality just as it is? And when you're distracted from reality, you're not taking care of reality. And even if you are only half involved in reality, just as Kyozan is, Kyozan's got it, that he's right here, right now. What are you doing with it? And that's what Isan is very quick to remind him, is that you have a job. Your job is to save all sentient beings. And all those sentient beings are not in the place where you've just stuck your mattock. They're out there. And you're not separate from everything that is out there. And that's his reminder, is that you might be doing the good work of, hoeing this field that is within the walls of the monastery, in which you only have to do for a few hours, because most of the time you're spending sitting on your butt in Zazen, coming to this realization. What are you doing with that realization? That's the hard work.
I remember when I was a kid, after World War II, my parents settled in Laguna Beach, California. Pretty idyllic place.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
still is.
Yeah, I still go back there when I need to kind of clear my head,
Yeah.
especially when it's not crowded.
Yeah.
I remember once in a while we'd go on a car ride, and we go like to downtown LA,
Yeah.
and I'd see all these people sleeping on the sidewalk, and staggering around, and I said, this is a completely different reality. It really hit me. I can still remember it
Yeah.
today. I think it had an impression on me. But when I went to become a lawyer, I worked basically with the more poor people.
Yeah.
Get those people. I
You're a
saw.
public defender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and it's still shocking to me, having been born and raised in Los Angeles. Obviously, my parents were very middle class. We lived in the suburbs. I was very removed from all of that. Private schools from first grade through 12th grade. Very privileged life, and it just wasn't in but my U-Haul stories. I think U-Haul hates me. I rented a U-Haul truck to move stuff for a tea ceremony. This was last August, because we were doing, no. Anyway, it was last year, end of last year. Call U-Haul, rented U-Haul ahead of time, had an 8 o'clock pickup. I go there and find the office, and it's kind of in this kind of obscure place in downtown Los Angeles. And I'm waiting there. It's now 8:15. No one's shown up. The office is still closed. 8:30, I finally call the main U-Haul line. They can't find the person who's supposed to be there, handing out the U-Haul. So they transfer my order, my reservation, to a different U-Haul place. So I hop in an Uber, and go to this other place. And as he's turning the corner to get to this U-Haul place, we're driving through this tent city, and people are half naked. There's fire in the trash cans. There's just all kinds of garbage, and the smell that just came through the car. I'm like, where are we? Anyway, we were only a few blocks from downtown Los Angeles, and I was like, this is a whole another world. How did this happen? And every time I see it, it's shocking to me. The richest city, in the richest state, in the richest country in the world has this situation that does not seem to be getting any better. And the next question is, what am I doing about it? And the even worse question that comes up to me is, am I contributing to this in some way? Because this doesn't happen by itself. Nothing happens in isolation. So, these are all questions about our interaction with reality. So, how people can be, because the reason for boredom is unmet expectations. So if you're sitting on a cushion and you're bored, you're missing everything. You have some expectation of what reality is supposed to be, and you're not looking at reality just as it is, which is not boring, it's devastating. So what are you doing about that? How are you taking care of that? And from what level of privilege are you operating from? So that's the additional piece of this particular koan that Isan is very clear with Kyozan. Remember what you might be doing if you weren't here, sitting on these cushions. You'd be out there reaping thatch, because that's what most people do. And that point is brought up even more clear because one of the questions in the what's his name? Cleary is, can the everyday man become enlightened? And he doesn't answer that question directly. The next question is, does the emperor cut thatch? So is there this kind of elitist comparison that's going on? Oh, here it is. Does the original man attain Buddhahood? Said, you tell me. Does the emperor of China cut thatch? So where's at what level are you asking that question? And what are these comparisons that you are making between the original man and the emperor? no one would expect the emperor to be cutting thatch. But do we have an expectation that the everyday man, the original man, the ordinary man, who has to struggle to make a living and put food on the table, would be sitting in a monastery doing zazen all day? Because they don't know when the next meal is coming. So they've got to think about that. They've got to work on that. So these so-called fields that Kyozan thinks he's coming from are a level of privilege that he didn't immediately recognize. That because these fields are within the monastery and not out there in the world where everyone else is reaping thatch. So being gratitude, and gratitude is the next piece of this, because that was the gesture that he makes, just folded hands on his chest, was probably gasho, which is a symbol of gratitude. And it's brought up in the appreciatory verse. Keep in mind the part about the southern mountains. The southern mountains is a reference to people reaping thatch. Keep in mind the part about southern mountains, with it inlaid in bone, engraved in the skin, let's show our gratitude together. So this was a reminder to Kyozan how he got there. He got there by way of people who had to work hard. And those hardworking people are the people who gave money to the monasteries to help build them and sustain them, because that's how these monasteries, a lot of them were state funded as well, but the people still gave monks, especially monks, money. So understand that and be grateful for it, because that's the only thing we can do is remember how we got here, what's real, what people are doing, how are we taking care of them, and what are we getting back from them, and how are we contributing, how are we giving back to the community that we are part of. So there's a lot going on in this exchange, simple though it was, short though it was. Yeah, you've got the privilege of being this enlightened monk. Let's not forget what it is you need to do with that enlightenment, what the work that's required as a result, the responsibility that you have, and that you're not exempt from the relative relationship that we have with everything that goes along with the absolute. So, questions, comments? Anything, Kirk?
No.
Nope. I know you're sitting at your desk, but it looks like you're on the beach.
Get too close that dog for that.
Actually, I'm in Southern California, and I'm sitting on a sofa.
Oh, you're here.
You're close by.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back.
Well, just for a few days.
Yeah.
Nice. Great.
Bertrand Russell said a certain amount of boredom is essential for a happy life.
Said a certain amount of boredom is what?
Bertrand Russell,
Yeah.
he said that a certain amount of boredom is essential for a happy life.
Essential for a happy life. Well, okay. I'll take that. As long as it's essential.
He was very clever.
Well, and I think that we pursue so much excitement all the time. It's exhausting. So it's good to.
We're geared to that. We're geared to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Samsung, that's the wheel.
Yeah. That is the wheel, the hamster wheel that we're stuck on. And sometimes it's nice to get off and do nothing except just be in reality just as it is. And being in reality just as it is just brings up its own set of problems that we now have to do something about. Or not, sometimes there's nothing that can be done. But it's a question that we need to ask. Yes, I have this privilege. I have this work I've done. I have all the stuff that came to me. Sometimes not by my own choices, but by the work of others, by the work of my parents, who worked very hard to make sure that I had a better life than they had, and be grateful for that, and also understand that I have a responsibility to give back. And what am I doing? Am I doing that? And that doesn't exempt me from causing we all cause karma no matter what we're doing, but what karma are we causing by how we are living, how we are continuing, what are we perpetuating? All right, final thoughts?